The secret tax coming up next, inflation. You got a raise, congrats, but before you upgrade your car or book that luxury vacation, let's talk.
Yeah, lifestyle inflation is absolutely real. And actually, I think it's one of the most common traps that people fall into. Keeps people broke. Even, of course, when they're making more money than ever. That's the whole idea.
In today's episode, we're breaking down the hidden costs of lifestyle creep in inflation and how to avoid the idea of more income, more spending, and the vicious cycle.
So stick around. We're doing practical strategies in this episode to help you stay on track and build real wealth instead of debt.
Okay, Jonah, today on the ep, we're talking about lifestyle creep. Now, I've heard of scope creep when it comes to doing freelance projects, but lifestyle creep is also, that's a bigger issue, I think.
Lifestyle creep?
Most people are not freelancers,
creep.
And they don't have to worry about scope creep, I think. But their life scopes.
I actually saw
creeps.
a TikTok video on scope creep actually recently.
Yeah.
It was someone who was trying to clean out their car, and they got on the TikTok video saying, and let me introduce you to scope creep. And they're standing in front of a car with no seats. All of the seats were removed.
Yep.
They're like, we started trying to vacuum,
Yep.
And now it's an interior. Yeah, it was funny.
So let's talk about that when it comes to your expenses and your income. Jonah, this brings me back to, we're always talking about this idea and this concept, IB, infinite banking, and that is which law of Nelson's laws inside the book? Obviously, it's not Nelson's law, the author.
Sure. It's that expenses rise to meet expectations,
right,
or whatever. If I had to think, that is Parkinson's.
It is. It's Parkinson's law.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. Not a lot of you right now are totally sold yet on the ideas of keeping your capital and wealth inside this save and spend system with infinite banking. So let's just talk about lifestyle creep, something we all understand and we've all been victimized by, unless you're that one dude in Ocean's 12, when they have to, the guy found him, Terry found him, they got to give the money back. You don't remember?
It's before my time.
The problem is they got caught and they needed to give the money back, and they went around the room and said, who's still got their share?
Oh.
And only one dude was like, no, I'm good. I still got it.
Oh, okay.
Because I've been living with my mom.
That's some good. Yeah, so, I mean, the idea here of lifestyle creep, lifestyle inflation, whatever you want to call it, is just when your expenses rise as your income grows. So what's tempting for the average person is they want to upgrade their lifestyle, right? They want to upgrade their lifestyle with each pay increase as they get the raise, as they get the promotion, or they get the bonus, right? You can even do this, maybe not your income's increasing, but you get the one-time bonus, and then you spend the one-time bonus, right? It's just really tempting to use all that money for your expenses every time that you get it coming in. And if you do this without really careful consideration, it's really going to hurt your long-term financial goals. So we, in this episode, really want to explore like hidden costs, how you can avoid falling into this trap. We want to make sure that you understand that this is a significant problem. And actually, we have this a lot as Americans. This is something that we fall into like crazy, I feel like. I actually was on live on our YouTube channel this last week. YouTube, just in case you don't know and you're listening, we go live on our YouTube channel, on our Instagram channel, on our Facebook group. Sometimes we throw TikTok in there at least once a week, and we're just going to talk and walk people through their questions and concerns. So if you like to follow us on any of those channels, you can totally join in and join us on those lives. But somebody from the UK was on the live,
all right,
and they asked, what's up with Americans and credit? Why is that why do you guys, we were talking about it specifically.
Yeah.
What's up with Americans and credit? What's going on there? And it was, so in me trying to answer the question for this person who does not live in America, I basically described lifestyle inflation and lifestyle creep. It was one of those things like, well, in America, we have a spending problem.
Yeah.
Like Americans have a spending problem. And so, I had to go through this whole spiel on helping them understand the question. But it's a really, really, really big deal. People want bigger homes and newer cars and more expensive leisure activities, right? People get that bonus and they go buy the boat and they do everything they want without really setting a foundation. They don't save the money. They don't put it in a place where it can grow, where it can benefit them. And that's what we want to talk about on this episode specifically.
So we're going to jump in with how to avoid lifestyle inflation. How to avoid it first. So you are correct, Jonah, that we are the most marketed to society in the history of the world.
Yep.
We've got ads. We run ads. We listen to ads. There's something like, I don't know the statistics. What do you think out there? That by the time the average American kid is 12 years old, he has watched, she has seen or heard or been billboarded by something like 10 million ads.
Yeah, I believe
it's
that.
Wild. You know, it's probably not that high, but the point is our satisfaction and contentment actually gets challenged when we see what could be in our possession, when we go for that dopamine hit quick and early. So let's talk about a few things that are going to help us avoid lifestyle inflation. We've got a list here. Number one, automate your savings first. Mary Jo Ehrman, one of our friends who also teaches in the infinite banking space, says you can either save first, pay premium, and then live your life, or you can live your life and try to figure out how to save or what's left after that. You got to automate it. That's what I do.
So this automate your savings first idea, how to avoid lifestyle inflation, is really important. You might have heard it in other books or in other people's podcasts or YouTube videos as pay yourself first. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. You have got to make sure that your foundation, the money that's actually, we've had a couple episodes here recently. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform or scrolling on YouTube, just go back a few podcast episodes. You'll realize we just did one on like an emergency fund, how important that is, where you should place your emergency fund. But things like that are so important. There's so many statistics that come out year after year after year that say Americans can't make it 30 seconds with an event or a tragedy before they have no money and everything's on credit cards and you're worrying about the house. It's because we don't have any money saved. A lot of people jump savings and go straight for investing. I do not think you should do that. I think the first thing you should do when you get a raise, when you get a bonus, when you've earned income, period, is increase your savings rate. I'm saying automatically transfer a percentage, a certain number of your new money into that savings place. We talked about this on a recent episode also. I mentioned, or maybe it was on one of the lives I was talking about earlier, but when I really sat down and thought through some of the savings ideas that I had in my own head, I realized that having a savings account at a local bank, when I personally had a savings account at a local bank and transferred money into there, that was not savings. That was a secondary checking. Right?
The way my accounts are set up.
I don't think I'd ever had a savings account at a local bank that had money in it for longer than, a year. That's not savings.
Right. That's called overdraft protection.
That's called secondary checking. I'm just going to use it. I'm
it's
just going to
overdraft.
transfer it from my savings to my checking as soon as I want something.
Yeah.
That's not savings, folks. And so if you go back and, again, listen to like our emergency fund episode, I recommend in there using your savings vehicle, having your savings vehicle in a completely different place than your ordinary.
It's got to hurt a little bit, or you need to think about it to try to get that money.
Yep.
It is not just a swipe left or right on the app to move the savings to the checking.
There you go.
You guys got it. But throw in the comments down there wherever you're hearing or listening to us where you currently save your money. We'd love to know.
Yep.
All right, number 2, Jonah, set financial goals before the raise hits. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think this is super important because having clear goals is just going to help you resist the urge to overspend, right? If you've got goals, and I'm not talking about just like budgeting goals. I'm talking about like real goals. If you want to go on vacation to Hawaii and you've got a goal that, listen, we're going to go on that vacation for Christmas in 3 years. We're going to want $10,000 because we logged into the Marriott in Hawaii. That's where we want to stay. We looked at the prices. We know what it costs. So now we know what we're shooting for. You with me? Setting a goal. Then I know if I get an extra, whatever it is, $100, $5,000, $10,000, a percentage of that is going toward the goal because that's what I'm looking to accomplish. So a lot of that goes back to what we've been saying over and over again for those of you who are listening and paying attention, which is you got to write your stuff down. You got to write your stuff down. You got to create a plan. You got to pay attention to what you're actually shooting for, what you're spending money on. You've got to know. If you do not, then you are basically ensuring that you're going to increase your expenses. Because if you don't have a plan for anything and you just came into some money, the first thing people do is like, oh, well, tonight's dinner is going to cost 6 times what the last week's dinners have cost. Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's just what you do. But again, this strategy of setting financial goals is just going to make sure your money is going to work hard for you and your future, not really giving you that instant gratification or that dopamine hit, like you said.
Yeah, man. This makes me think about a little Sunday school lesson here, and it's the book of Daniel. You remember Daniel had a couple of friends. By a couple, I mean 3, right? Things got heated for them, if you know what I'm saying.
I wish I was ready on the sound effect.
Oh, okay.
My fault. But go ahead.
No, that's okay. So the reason that set financial goals before the raise hits, as the Jewish people, the Israelites were captured and taken to Babylon. I think it's Babylon.
I think so.
These young cats were in the court. They were in the court of the king or the emperor, and they purposed in their heart that they would not do something before it was presented to them.
Yep.
And that's what I see here, set financial goals before the raise hits. Understand what your goals are and set your plan in place,
Yep.
which takes us to number 3, stick to a budget. We basically already mentioned that. You brought it up. But realize where we're trying to go in advance. And how it worked out for those Israelites is, number 1, they got strong and healthy. They got that strength. Hercules. But, I mean, things got heated. But the Lord came and saved them, and they did not burn to death in the furnace. So stick to a budget. You guys know that. We have episodes on that type of stuff. Let's move on to number 4, Jonah. Live below your means, not within them. What you say?
I think that really, to me, that says just because you can afford more doesn't mean you need more. Doesn't mean you should have more. Doesn't mean you should spend more. That's what it means to me. Living below your means just continuing to keep your lifestyle in check, even as your income increases, right? A lot of people do not do this very well at all. I mean, the main example that comes to my mind is people who get the bonus and then use the bonus to go get a luxury item that is well above their means. So all of a sudden, right? I talked to this one guy one time. We were helping them start their savings plan, their infinite banking journey, a place where they could store and keep and put their wealth. And then he goes, well, listen, I had someone lend me some money, loan me some money, pass me some money, whatever. It was his. I don't remember how he got it. And it's $100,000.
Right.
And like my dream car is a Corvette. So I'm going, that's my goal.
Keep dreaming, boy.
That's my goal. I'm going to go get the Corvette. It costs $100,000.
Be careful.
Okay, cool. How much do you make and this and that and the other? He works a minimum wage job. He makes $30,000 a year. And it was like, do not go get that car. What are you?
No, my boy.
You have the money for the car.
No. What you doing?
You cannot afford the car.
No.
Does that make
you wouldn't be
sense?
able to drive it afterward.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's what I mean here by live below your means. You cannot. You've got to set in your own mind you've got to be disciplined. You've got to say, listen, excess income goes to savings. Once you have a savings hit a certain level, we've got some recommendations on that. If you want to reach out and ask us. Once you've got some recommendations once your savings hit a certain level, maybe your extra income now goes to pay off bills. Maybe your extra income now goes to invest, right? It's very popular out there. There's lots of people who put these debt payoff plans together. They all start with save a certain figure first, then go accomplish goal 1, goal 2, goal 3. That's what it is. If you accomplish goal 1, go back to save more money before you go accomplish, right? I mean, that's what it is. You've got to understand that these people aren't just making it up. This is a strategy in order to get you to actually be able to accomplish something, to actually be able to move forward rather than to put yourself back at the detriment of yourself just because you got some extra dollars coming in.
This puts me right at number 5, develop a wealth building mindset. So, Jonah, you said a minute ago that living below your means also should potentially trigger inside of you. Something we would recommend would be a target amount of money or a percentage of your lifestyle that is in savings, that is ready to be deployed for a goal, for a wealth building mindset. So when we get to number 5 right here, I'm going to go ahead and give you the recommendations, ladies and gentlemen, by telling you about my life. Number 1, 10% of what I have coming in approximately gets shared I'm using an alliterative word now because we have the save and spend system, but it gets shared. It gets shared with church and shared with other charitable opportunities. Okay. Number one. Number two, about 20 to 30% is how we recommend it. 25, for those of you averaging those two numbers, should be stored in your wealth bucket. Mm-hmm. And so if you're using the infinite banking concept, what we like to suggest is around 25% of your cash values are not going to be touched. And that therefore becomes emergency. The point of it is not to just let it sit there and do nothing for you. The point of it is to keep you from being able to live outside of your means and having the cushion. Big events are going to come up in your life, and you've got to have that cushion of liquid cash, but not too liquid, not in the savings account, right? Yep. You do have to swipe, check, click, or call one or two extra times, so you're not going to spend it on something that just shows up on sale that day. And because of that, we have a wealth-building mindset, so now our savings vehicles and our storage for our wealth can flow into investments.
There you go.
And the investments, in our opinion, should be kicking off cash. Some of the investments should be kicking off cash to fund the lifestyle. So our friend with a Corvette.
Yep.
Your friend, not mine. I would have leaned into this dude. I would have said, you can afford, potentially, I would have been his coach. That's what we do. It's a free call. We help everybody. You can afford the Corvette when your storage is full enough for emergencies and your investment portfolio or cash flow from things you don't actively have to manage all the time are kicking off the car payment.
Sure.
That's when you should maybe jump into the Corvette. So I helped you understand a little bit of that with live below your means and develop a wealth mindset there on number 5. It's how much can you store, save, and keep, and then how much of your money is kicking off dollars for you to be able to buy luxuries. Luxuries should be enjoyed when cash flow and passive income in my life is able to buy them, but not my active income.
There you go.
There you go.
Number 6, and very last one, avoid the comparison trap. I think it's really easy to get caught up in comparing yourselves to others. I can put it in today's terms, 2025 terms, which is get off the internet. Do that. That's very helpful.
We're too marketed to, like we mentioned earlier.
I think so. I'll give you even some practical steps. I like the internet just as much as anyone else likes the internet, but I definitely try to limit my time because I've realized recently, this is not something that I've always known. This is in the last 24 months, that this comparison idea and this social media stuff, it gets in your brain. It starts to influence the way that you think about things. So some practical things that I do. There's like time limits you can set on your phone. I set them. I've got time limits on my phone specifically. In a few certain apps, they even let you set time limits. So I've even done that. Not only that, you can, did you know that if you see a sponsored ad on one of those platforms out there in the meta space, you can click not interested and you will never see the ad again. That's the pop-up. Thanks for letting us know. We will never show you this again. It's way helpful. On one of the other meta sites, and you click, I'm not interested.
All right.
They're like, sure, we won't show you today.
Right.
Like, we'll be back tomorrow.
But we're going to send you an email that says, are you sure that you want to opt out of this?
So things like that, I do that stuff all the time. Go through your follower list, go through your Facebook friends, whatever they are, and get rid of the people that as Marie Kondo would say, don't bring you joy or whatever, right? Get rid of the people that you're always looking at and you don't have to unfriend them, you can mute them or whatever they're calling it these days. There's so many things you can do, but I think social media right now in 2025 is one of the biggest co-conspirators in this comparison trap idea. You see that your next door neighbor, your friend from high school, your whoever just got the Corvette, and now all of a sudden your Kia, it won't get you to work and back anymore. Yes, it will. You just saw that they put heated and cooled seats in the new truck. So now you need a new one. No, you don't. Right? So anyway, that is number 6. There's a lot of hidden costs if you do not get your lifestyle inflation under control. We've got just a few of them. We'll touch on them really quick, but it is important to understand we do not want you, number 1, to have any loss of wealth building. If you spend this money, you don't have it. We talk about that all the time. If you spend the money, if it does not get saved, if it does not get placed somewhere where it can kick off cash flow, then you had it once and it's gone. You worked for it, now it's gone. Pretty much everybody that I know, 16, 17, 18, when they first started working, worked for a bunch of money, gone. If you think about the money you spent as an 18-year-old, here's the funny question. Did you need any of that stuff you bought?
Well, I worked at a grocery store, so I will say that the first thing that I thought was I bought the food I wanted finally. After getting out of mom's house.
I'm with you. All the other things you spent money on at 18.
I went to college.
Possibly.
No.
I think about that sometimes,
so I just
too.
bought things to have fun with my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
And I go, I couldn't even tell you what I bought. I didn't need it. There's no chance I needed it, wanted it. I mean, I'm sure I spent money.
I think you're worse than me because I went to college at 18. And
I went to college too.
Yeah,
I
got
to school and bought a TV and an Xbox.
Yeah, see, I did not do that.
The first day.
I remember, so my bottom drawer in my dorm, we both lived in a dorm, different colleges, and I had snacks. But I was finally buying food that I wanted from the grocery store I worked at. So, that's it. But yes, so we help people understand that you trade your money. Money should be traded for things that we need, and then after that, it should be utilized as a tool. And that tool should kick off code cracking cash flow. And if you don't do it, it's just been traded for the TV, for the granola bars, and it is a loss of wealth building. Number 2, you're going to compound your debt by having inflation and lifestyle creep be into your habits. So this is tragic for people. Tragic.
A big one.
So I'm going to talk about a friend of mine. A few minutes ago, you mentioned go to Hawaii, stay at the Marriott or something like that. And I think we should plug, if you listen to this early spring, in 2020 or mid-spring 2025 as we record it, you are speaking in Hawaii.
That's right. June 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st in Hawaii. If you need more information on that, you should check the show notes or reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to provide it. That is June 18, 19, 2021, 2025. If you are in, around, or close to Hawaii, I'd be more than happy to hang out with you. Let's get coffee or something. You can come to our infinite banking wealth building presentation. It'll be fun.
And this weekend, I was speaking to one of our clients in Hawaii. That's why I thought of it. Okay. So hopefully he's listening out there. You know who you are, but we will protect the wealthy and not let everybody know. He's on a different island, but we were talking about the compounding of debt. He's got 4 credit cards right now.
All right.
Between he and his wife, they have 2 policies that they've been utilizing for their savings strategy, the beginning of infinite banking. And what we were looking at was utilizing cash values, now that they're about 4 years old, to get out of the third-party Bank O America cards. They had 4.
BOA.
At the lowest interest, the lowest balance was about 5.5, and the lowest interest was 18.
Okay.
So compounding debt. What we talked about half of the time was not actually the technical strategy. That was 40% of the time. 60% you could see this man thinking through his lack of budget, his inflationary spending, through his lifestyle. And he realized me and the missus got to get on the same page about the spending.
No more or less. I should say not no more. Everybody needs a little bit of this, but way less entertainment, way less eating out, way less upgraded gadgets, way less reliance on credit. That a lot of times
just reliance on credit.
Right.
Okay, so number 3, increased stress and pressure. This is exactly what was going on every time I realized, hey, man, are you still with me? We were over at Google Meet. You know, it's a free cash consultation that we do for our clients. Are you still with me? Because he would be head down rubbing his hands through his hair, thinking.
Increased stress,
increased stress. That's what it was. I was like, hey, you okay? You with me? What's going on? Are you taking notes? And he was taking notes, but he kept literally having to breathe his way through.
You got to get more disciplined with your own personal lifestyle. You got to. But again, a lot of this is about what we talked about earlier, setting those financial goals. So if you do not get your lifestyle inflation under control, you're just going to delay any of those financial goals, because if they're not actually a goal, and you haven't written anything down, it's not really a goal. It's a wish, and a wish is like maybe going to come true one day, right? I mean, that's the Disney. When you wish upon a star, that's in the future. I don't know when that star is coming come in this direction. You know what I mean? That's what that is. If you want to actually have goals and have them accomplished, let me help you. Christmas is on December 25th this year. It's not moving. If you want to have the best Christmas you've had in the last 5 years because of gifts or presents or family or trips or whatever, plan now.
There you go.
Right?
Yep. So you'll delay your financial goals. Number 4, if you do not have a plan. If you prioritize the short-term foods, entertainments, and maybe travel. In this case, our friends live in Hawaii, so they literally wanted to utilize those Bank of America cards for the buddy points to get to the mainland. So that makes sense for them. They are mainland Americans who are now in Hawaii, so they do need to come back often. Yep. And, I mean, that's expensive. You've been looking up those flights yourself. Yep. That's one thing. Okay, higher cost of living. Number 5, as you spend more, you might become accustomed to a higher standard of living, and this can create a difference on your baseline, and it becomes difficult to manage if you have events, setbacks, challenges, change of a job, and I believe we had a conversation about that with a friend in Birmingham last week.
Yep. It becomes really difficult to scale back, too.
Yeah.
You're like, how in the world do I need to spend $8,000 a month just to make it? You know, why isn't it 2 or 3 or 4?
Yep.
It's like, well, because you bought cars you couldn't afford, and you bought a bigger house than you needed, and you know all this.
And it's not. We're not saying that you are not smart. Every once in a while, we have to challenge our thinking and how we communicate this to you out there. If you're within our community, we're not here to make fun of you. We just try to have an entertaining podcast. Many of us have gotten lazy, and our financial fitness or our wherewithal, our awareness is changing. We wanted a different job. We had some sort of financial event or occurrence. I had one. I'm a good saver. We obviously practice what we preach around here. We all practice this. But 2 weeks ago, the bill finally came for my son who snorted a Skittle 8 months ago. And when the bill came, which was $2,000, I had it. And it was something that I had prepared for, not knowing that it was going to be that kid and the emergency Skittle snorting situation. I don't know that that's coming. I know something is coming.
There you go.
So I was prepared for it, and it didn't hurt at all. I even, as I wrote a check for that one in particular, wrote a check and turned it in, 3 or 4 days later, I wondered, I wonder if it got cashed, because it didn't hurt. And so I was like, did it get taken out yet or not? You know, I'm just checking through a couple of the accounts. Checking, not savings.
There you go.
But yeah, that was mine. My cost of living had not gone well beyond what I needed to stomach the events. So a couple of key takeaways as we close down this episode, and a few shout outs to our fans and follows out there. We want to help you walk through your situation. If your lifestyle is scoping, creeping, and your inflation is a personal problem that you can fix, we'd love to walk and talk you through it, just like we have so many of our other clients and potential clients throughout our years here at the Cash Compound. So shout out to Gregory Falcon.
Yeah, he's our YouTube fan follow of the week. I guess over on YouTube, they call them subscribers. But Gregory, we are thankful that you've subscribed to our channel. Hopefully, you found a couple of videos that you like. Hopefully, you are even tuning in to maybe this podcast or watching this podcast on YouTube as our video cast there. If you are, give us a comment, man. We'd be more than happy to jump in, answer your questions, let you know that we shouted you out on the episode, right? All that stuff is fun, but we really do appreciate you following. And hopefully, if you're not following us yet over on YouTube, but you are here in this podcast, jump over there and do so, and maybe you'll be the fan follow of the week next time.
All right, to list through those key takeaways, lifestyle inflation is sneaky. It'll sneak up on you with this subscription and that subscription. We were talking about subscriptions last week in our lives. Number 2, the key to wealth building is saving and investing, but mostly saving first and having the savings fuel the investment and the investments kick off cash flow for you. You got to stay disciplined, but in the end, you can start small. Mm-hmm. Start small with eliminating one thing or scaling back something or scaling up your savings. All right, remember, more money doesn't mean more spending automatically. It means more opportunity to build the wealth and buy back your time.
Yeah. So if this episode helped shift your mindset then share it with someone who maybe just got a raise, right? Let them know that before they spend all the money. Or share it with someone who just needs a reminder to stay focused on their financial goals. And again, make sure you subscribe to the Banking Bros podcast. We're here every week with no fluff financial tips and tricks that actually work. We'd be more than happy to walk and talk you through them.
We'll see you soon. And after this episode, visit us at thebankingbros.com for our new website coming this summer. And we'll talk to you soon on a cash consultation. In 2025, we've had a change of heart in some of our podcast topics for you, and we're helping you with general finance lessons just like this one. Make sure your lifestyle is not your biggest inflationary problem. Follow us online on your favorite podcast platforms, as well as our social media channels at The Banking Bros or The Cash Compound, where we can walk and talk you through some of the general finance lessons you may not have learned in school.